And we are live. All right, what's up, guys? This is your boy Steve on the NDO Podcast. Today, I have Coach Dominik Spaulding, aka Turbo. He's currently a performance trainer, but also he has numerous accolades when it comes to football, and he's helping the next generation get ready, prepare themselves. On not just football, but the athletic side to their respective sports. So, how you doing, bro?
Good, bro. I'm good, man. I appreciate you for having me on today. I'm excited. And I'm ready to rock.
That's good. It's good. It's crazy because, like I said, full transparency here. Like we just linked, um,
Literally,
literally like
just
3 days ago, 2 days ago. And the place that I work at, Revolution Basketball, the owner kind of linked us, just because she felt like we were both kind of on the same wavelength in terms of helping the next generation in our respective areas, and same ideals in terms of being positive and
yep.
trying to help maximize players' potential on and off the courts and fields. So, it's a great thing to just be connected with good people. So, obviously, if Megan ever listens to this, thank you, Megan, for that. But
Thank you. Thanks so
yeah,
much.
yeah,
Thank you.
sure, yeah. And so now just let's just get into you. Let's
Yep.
learn about you, where you're from. And the whole purpose, like I didn't really get too in depth with you in terms of like the purpose of my podcast is just I interview people. You're my first, performance coach and then coach outside of basketball. So I like it. I really enjoy this part, and just want to expand. And regardless, like I might have football players listen to this, or I might have people who are interested in athletic development, or just trying to learn as much as they can about anything, and
Mm.
just to inspire somebody, whether you have a couple hardships, or we'll get into your story, but that's the purpose of it. So I want you to take the mic right now, and
Mm-hmm.
just go and just introduce yourself, and then tell your origin story.
Word. Word. All right. Again, I appreciate you again, my man, for the intro, Steve. So I'm gonna get right into it. So again, I'm Dominik Spaulding, but people call me Turbo. Um, I grew up in Jamaica until about I was 13 years old, with my whole family, my grandma, my mom, my dad, and everyone. Um, and then, just one random day, my dad just came to me and was like, "You gotta pack your stuff. We're gonna be moving." Um, and then, next thing I knew, we were on a plane. We came to the United States, and the first place we stopped was in Windsor, and we were there for a bit. And then I had moved to West Hartford, which was where I predominantly was and still live, at the current moment in Connecticut. I grew up there, met all my best friends over there. We're still best friends today. Played high school football, played high school sports. Graduated, went to a small D3 school up in Boston called Mount Ida. It no longer exists. But I also got a bunch of accolades while I was there as well. I was all academic for 4 years, all American for two, all New England, and there's a couple more as well that I received. I got Player of the Year, as well. Um, After that, I graduated with my math or my I graduated with my business degree, and then I minored in psychology. Sorry about the tongue twister. Cat got my tongue. Um, so yeah, after I graduated, I had a couple NFL tryouts. Bounced around for a little bit. Didn't work out because I had a lingering hamstring injury. Um, I had a major injury while I was in college, and it just kind of lingered since. So it kind of dwelled my ability to kind of compete when I was going to the tryouts and things of that nature. So things didn't turn out well for that. But then I ended up playing arena football. And I ended up doing that for 2 years. And then coming into my third year, I actually broke my foot at a contract, at a tryout. And then after I had broken my foot at a tryout, I kind of sat in my car, and I just sat there and I cried. And I kind of will be jumping around within the story a little bit, but I'll put it together so it's understandable.
Yeah.
So just to pause right there for a bit and to backtrack, I trained myself my whole life. Me and my friends, we always trained together. And it's something I was always interested in doing as well. And I had like a lot of like stories and plans behind how I wanted to help and give back. And then, we were always just fit. We were always running around, but we always took care of ourselves, and we always, did a lot of the right things when it came to working out and just keeping our bodies, like in shape and everything that at a young age. So, we were very athletic, but we performed well. So, I had a really athletic group of friends, and we all just kind of kept each other in shape. And I carried that with me in college. But as I went through all those years, I started to gain a lot more knowledge about working out. And I started being able to take care of myself, get stronger, get faster, get better at like a lot of things when it came to my sport. And, just started to fall in love with it more and more. So fast forward again, back to when I broke my foot. I just sat down in my car and I cried. And the year before, I got my personal training license, and I was using it to kind of train people on the side, to start getting into the training. And then, I liked it, but, I'm more like the sports side of things. So I wanted to be a strength coach. So for that year, it dwelled on my mind on like getting my CSCS, which is the strength coach certification. So after I broke my foot, sat in my car, cried for a little bit. And then, I just wiped my face, and then I started driving. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I may start training people again. So literally within like maybe like a week or two, the owner from the tryout, because I had played for his team before, he gives me a call. And he tells me that he wants me to be the strength coach for his team. So then I take the job, and then I ended up getting certified for my strength coach, passing it on the first try. And then I ended up being a strength coach for a professional arena team at 23. At 22, actually 22, right? So now I'm taking care of D1, D2, professional, NFL, ex-NFL, CFL, high-level athletes, and it was very nerve-wracking for me at first, but I always had a lot of confidence that lingered, but came out at like weird times, if that made sense. Like it came out at the right times when I needed it to come out. So from there, I kind of built on that. And then outside of the season, I now had started my business called Turbo Academy, where I'm a performance coach, speed coach, and I teach the kids a lot about recovery, about nutrition, how to take care of their bodies while being a strength coach for a professional arena team. Just trying to give back to the community, trying to give back to the kids, in different ways, through mental health, and things of that nature as well. So wherever I can help in the community, I also do that, tagged along with my business with the training, because, it's a holistic approach that I'm trying to take when it comes to giving back. It's not just kind of one lane where I'm just like a performance coach or a speed coach or just like a regular trainer like that. I want to do a little bit more, especially for the kids, that's, kind of like me.
That's huge. It's crazy. Like, speaking on the holistic side to training, that's kind of my business model as well. I think that's unique in terms of being able to offer that and actually following through with that. It's a difficult task, but I think at the same time, it's also, I think what's needed in today's society, right? It's from, the physical to the mental to obviously the skill set aspect to everyone's sport. But the main thing is to take care of our bodies as athletes. Um, not just the physical, but the mental, which affects everything else. If you're not mentally strong or you're not mentally okay, it's gonna lead to other things connected with your body, whether you get hurt just because of where your mindset is and things like that. But yeah, no, that's a crazy story. Now let's I got a quick side question. What year did you graduate from Mount Ida?
Say it again.
What year did you graduate from Mount Ida?
2016.
Okay. Do you might know a kid I trained in? Do you know EJ Jordan?
Yeah, I know EJ. EJ's my boy. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
EJ.
EJ. EJ. Crazy. EJ was one of the. I mean, I would put him in that group of kids that I kind of first. I saw him grow up, but like he was one of the kids first, like one of my first paying customers. Um, and I was just excited to see his progress moving forward, and he got better and better as the years got on. So, but yeah, when you said that, I was like, wait, maybe he knows EJ. So I haven't checked in on EJ in a while. Maybe I gotta follow up on this.
After EJ in a while. I probably haven't talked to EJ since like last year.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. But so yeah, let's go back to your playing career. When
So,
you were what position did you play? Running back, correct?
so no. I was a defensive player.
You was a
So
defensive player.
so in high school, I actually played. Yeah, in high school, I played fullback, running back, but I played a lot more defense, like linebacker in the end.
Okay.
And then when I college, I played every position in the front seven. So I played both end positions, one tech, three tech, and I played all three linebacker positions. Well, all I played well.
Okay. You froze really quickly. What was that last sentence?
I didn't play Will linebacker. I only played Sam and Mike.
Oh, okay. Same Mike. I somewhat know what you're talking about. So,
Yeah.
okay, so then let's talk about like so I talk about the recruiting process for basketball and how was your experience with the recruiting process because I have no idea
Mhm.
how it works just in case we might get a football kid that listens and then in all honesty we can kind of talk about how it compares to the basketball recruiting process in terms of how I went about it and how the kids that I train go about it. So just briefly touch about that when you're in high school and you're looking at schools and challenges that you had or things that you wish you knew during the recruiting process for football.
I mean, for me, um, the recruiting process was mostly kind of handled by my coach, but I was also one of those kids that did what he needed to do. You know what I mean? So um, I followed what I needed to do. I trained how I needed to train. I put the right things in my body that I needed to put in my body, and I put myself in positions that I needed to put myself in. So the front end of my recruiting process was well, you know, because I got good grades. I had over a 3.0 every semester. Um, but then I had gotten in trouble in high school. Um, I got in some trouble in high school that messed up everything because at one point I was getting interest from a lot of D1 schools, um, a lot of D2 schools, and then I had a lot of offers across the board. But I got in trouble, and then a lot of those offers just they went out. So I ended up having to go to D3. Um, big shout outs to my college coach, Michael Landers. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the man. I went to a small D3 school, picked up in Boston, where we had like a tight knit family. When it came to football, I met a lot of good people up there at my college. A lot of good people I still talk to today. You know, a lot of people I see still doing big things and still continuing to grow. You know, so it's a really beautiful thing. Um, but yeah, I went up there, played ball, and yeah, I got brought in, and then I just continued to grow every year. You know, my playing time got more. I got more and more time to play, I should say. My performance got better. I started to learn how to take care of myself, and I just continued to learn, you know, and I continued to train myself because I didn't have a strength coach in college. So we had to train ourselves. Our head coach would give us lifts, you know, but sometimes those lifts, I'm not gonna lie, and I can say it now, um, sorry, coach, but you know, we wouldn't really follow the program the whole way because it would be like we would have to bench, squat, and like hand clean all in one day. Which, you know, the old school dudes, they just beat your body to crap. But you know, you're young, so your body will handle it. But after you graduate, you know, your body starts breaking down if you don't start taking the proper precautions and start doing the things you need to do. Um, so, you know, I trained myself, you know, and I got in shape every year. I was in the best shape of my life, my junior and my senior year. Um, that was when I was at my peak in my performance. Um, then I had a major injury my senior year that I still came back from, but it still lingered for me till today. Um, that kind of messed everything up. But, you know, going back, and we'll get into the latter end of that. Going back to the high school stuff, the recruiting process. Um, I had good grades, and my coach, you know, he helped me out with a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because I was one of those kids where my dad worked damn near 3 jobs, so it was just me in the house. You know what I'm saying? So, and I had a Jamaican parent, so you know how it is with Caribbean parents. So I did what I had to do. I had good grades and everything like that. So recruiting came it came natural. So I understood the process of getting good grades, of like keeping a certain like image, you know what I mean? Not keeping a certain image, but acting a certain way, you know. If you want to go somewhere, you act like the place that you want to go to. You know what I mean? If you want to go to college, you do the things that you need to do to go to college. Um, so, you know, the recruiting process was pretty easy for me. Um, I just got in trouble, you know, and I'll tell a lot of young kids, man, like no matter what, do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Do what you want to do always. Don't follow. Do what you want to do always. Do not follow.
That's a great that is no that is a great segment in terms of just learning from that learning experience. Call it a learning
Yeah.
experience. There's no such things as losing out here. We always learn and grow. So it's important that kids can hear that and just say like, yeah, we're human, we mess up, but
Yeah.
don't let that define you. You still had a very successful career, and you met a lot of great people, and you it led you down this path, and you're helping numerous other athletes now. So things happen for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and they pull us together, and we have to learn how to pick ourselves up and then push forward. So um
Exactly.
that's why I think, like I said, like I'm learning this stuff as I go. Like the last interview I did with my camera guy, his name's Jordan Petway, known as Shaky Films,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no idea this man went through like 6 shoulder surgeries in a matter of like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he hoops, and he's actually hooping this weekend. He's a senior in college. He goes to Endicott, and they're doing an exhibition game. So I had him tell his story, and
Mm-hmm.
that was one of those things where you learn about people, and you learn where they come from and what kind of shaped them to be the person that they are today, which is great. Now let's get into the performance side. Now, what kind of certifications do you have? And obviously you don't have to go too much in depth into them, but and then from there, just let's talk about, for those who are interested in gaining and obtaining information and learning about stuff, where can they look? I want to give the viewers like some free games, some free knowledge. So yeah, just talk about your training path now, your actual like performance-based training path, and how where you are right now with that. And obviously, are you still studying and learning and growing? Kind of, I mean, obviously the answer is you are, but just with a little bit of information with that.
So this is where things get a little bit interesting. So I'm actually like really blessed at the age of 26, because when I had started my strength coach job with the Massachusetts Pirates, when we were in the NAL, now we're in the IFL, the gym that we had used during the season for our in-season lifts was owned by one of the Patriots strength coaches, Brian McDonough, who's also my mentor at the current moment. So Brian was actually the one that like instilled like confidence in me, because like I already knew a lot when it came to training, because like my knowledge had built up all that time from high school to college. Because while I was in college as well, I used to pick the brain of like our head PT guy all the time. So he used to teach me about the body, so I started to learn how to take care of the body, what muscles do what, how the bones and the joints work. So I started to learn anatomy. So I started learning in depth, so then I started to learn the recovery side through him. So that's when I started to be able to take my game to another level. And then I started to learn, the performance side, the training side, the weightlifting, the running, the jumping. I started learning a lot of that stuff through a lot of key mentors. But Brian, up to this point, he was the one that, like, he taught me basically damn near everything I know up to this point, I would say. Like, even though I know a lot before, like, he damn near taught me everything that I know up to this point. So I give him a lot of props, because I was really a young, like, scared dude at the time to be taking care of like a roster of 20 plus high level athletes. But the one thing about me is that I'm always like prepared. Like I always have like a plan. Like I'm always like writing stuff up, like strategies or something like that. So even though I never officially did a team before, I wrote a whole program. Like I was the strength coach, like what made sense, like from college, like what I did, searched up a bunch of stuff, watched up a bunch of videos, reached out to a couple people, high school, so I started putting together a whole season program. So my first initial meeting with Brian, I was so nervous. Went in there, shook his hand, looked me dead in my face. I'm Brian McDonough, one of the strength coaches from the Patriots. Pleasure to meet you. I hear they call you Turbo. So then, he kind of like broke the ice. And we sat down, we started chatting it up. And then I was really eager for him to like see the program, to see like what he kind of thought. So I brought it up quick, and then I pulled it up because I had brought my laptop with me. And then he's looking through it, and like I'm sitting there just watching him look through it, and he's like scrolling. And then like within like maybe like a couple seconds, he's like, "Yo, you wrote this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Nobody helped you to write this?" I was like, "I mean, I watched, like, like I studied, I got my CSCS, blah, blah, blah." And he was like, "Really?" Because like I wrote it like really in depth, you know what I mean? Like volume, like how many times we were jumping per week, RPE, like how are you guys feeling per day? You know what I mean? So I wrote it like really in depth, like volume control, percentage control, how are guys feeling? If guys are injured, what do I need to do? You know what I mean? Like I wrote like a really in-depth plan. So he closes the laptop and he goes, I have kids that I remember this conversation so clearly to this day that it'll never leave my mind. He goes, I have kids that'll go to college for 4 years for this and will come out and will act like you should give them the world. And then you came in here with a whole plan, not knowing anything. And I can tell you're so nervous, but I also can tell you're so humble to learn, because I really am. I'm always so humble to learn. That's another thing about me as well. And that's another thing I tell young kids growing up. Like the key thing here is to feed your mind, always, literally feed your mind with everything. Like it doesn't matter. No information is bad information. Like feed your mind every day. If you can even read 2 pages per day, learn a new vocab word per day, learn a new state, learn a new continent, whatever it is, feed your mind with knowledge every day. So after that, we had a whole conversation, and to summarize it, like he just told me that he's going to teach me the whole game, how to train people, how to do it at the highest level, what I needed to do. He taught me about the private sector. He taught me about, high level NFL, the college sector, like he basically taught me and gave me an option on how to go and how I would want to go about my career. And I was just so blessed to have that information at such a young age, to be able to have access on how to take care of people at such a young age. I had no choice, but, like I wish I had that information at my age, so why not give it back? You know what I'm saying? Why not give it back?
Yeah, the thing that I can relate to this, I can personally relate, is the fact that you have a mentor, right? And like, I'm not saying everybody needs one, but sometimes it does help just so you can learn from somebody a little more experienced and see and learn their secret sauce, right? And that's what I'm currently doing. I talk to numerous high level NBA, WNBA trainers, and I pick their mind if I ever have a question, and they're very, generous with their time, and they give me the time of day to respond. And, I consider them like my big brothers. Like if I ever needed anything, they would kind of help guide me. So, and the thing is, like, it always comes back to this one point, like you said, is always feed your mind, always learn, always grow, always keep your mind open to things. And that's something. Go ahead.
Always, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like always feed your mind, connect with everybody. Like if your gut tell you to go up and introduce yourself to somebody, if like you a business or like you a young kid that's trying to like get your name out there, like if your gut tell you to do it, go do it. Because the worst thing they can tell you is no, and they can just shun you. That's about it. But you can go about your day. Ain't nothing gonna be wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? That's the best thing you can do. Try to connect with everybody. If you're trying to do something, just do it. And the worst thing can happen, especially as a young kid, that somebody just gonna tell you no. Feed your mind and just like connect with everybody.
Connect with network. That's, and those two are basically that's life right now. That's life for us, at least. And I think the earlier kids not just kids, but like just people in general, if they're not comfortable with doing that, like it's something that they have to learn how to get out their comfort zone to do, because it's going to help them grow. At the end of the day, I feel like us as people should want to grow and, be better. I'm not saying that's everybody's goal and ambition. For those who are on the same page as us, that want to keep helping others and growing and or be the best at what they do, it's necessary to do that. And
and that's like that's another reason why I do what I do too. Because for my business, Turbo Academy, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'll shout myself up real quick.
Go ahead.
So follow me on Instagram at Turbo Spaulding, TurboSpaulding. You know what I'm saying? With my business, Turbo Academy LLC, I do a lot of performance training. My niche is speed, the recovery, but I also just added a mental health aspect to my my service, where for my babies, I call them the youth, I have a mental health therapist. So after our session, I have a mental health therapist talk to them for 45 minutes to an hour. And she talks to them about, mindfulness, the current state about what's going on right now, communication, and, a lot of things of that nature, tying back into, being able to connect with everybody and being able to communicate. A lot of these kids, they don't know how to communicate. So, that's something I want to try to help and start to build with a lot of the kids that I interact with, especially because it's a lot of inner city kids. So I feel like giving them a platform to feel comfortable to just be able to speak and not feel like ashamed, you know what I'm saying? Being able to give them a platform to just be cool with speaking in a crowd and being able to just amplify your voice and being able to just speak with confidence. You know what I'm saying? Being able to just sit there and just talk and just be confident about what you're talking about. And then walk away from what you said, confident about what you talked about. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing I had added to my service, which I'll continue to add some other stuff as well. But I think that one right there is one of my bigger accomplishments, I would say.
See, and that's a beautiful thing. That's enormous. Like, not everyone, some people may be in it for, the money or the notoriety, but being in this game, in your realm, to actually make an impact of these kids, mental, and the enjoyment and joy of the sport and the process of getting better is just like, that's what it's really about. Just teaching them about the journey and the process to get better, and the ways to do it. And it's a great growing experience, and it's fun. All right, so I'm gonna ask a couple of questions. Well, I'm gonna ask for two things here. All right. In your studies, in your programs, I'm gonna go for two exercises. One for I guess we'll go speed, since that's your niche. Two exercises that would help you be more explosive in terms of running. And then for my basketball guys, obviously, I mean, you work with football players too, two exercises that you feel, and I'm not just talking about, maybe just a squat, but a little something, maybe a different.
No. I got you.
A different variation of a squat, something. So go ahead, give me. So let's start with sprints. Start with the sprints.
So I'll start here. Overall, every athlete should just get a sled, like a sled with a harness, okay, that you can push and you can pull. Overall, right? It's the perfect strengthening, like, exercise that you can do for your whole body. Low threshold or high threshold, depending on how you load it. You know what I mean? So I think every athlete should literally just like save $200, $300 or whatever it is, get a sled and get a bunch of weights for it, right? And you can use that to train literally if you don't have access to a gym or anything like that. But that's like, I can really expand on it. But overall, just get a sled with some weights. And that's literally something that can keep your legs strong, get you to run faster, jump, and just keep you durable. You know what I mean? So I think every athlete should just get a sled. Two exercises. Remind me again, you said two exercises for
for speed and then 2 exercises for vert.
2 exercises for speed and 2 exercises for vert. Okay.
Or if you can combine them, both
okay.
explosiveness, that'd be great too.
I would say a hand clean, and a heavy sled for sprinting. And then for vert, squat, and second exercise, because I'm trying to think of like a really good one. Squat, and I'll go because it's like I want to choose like a plyo exercise, but I'm like, nah, everyone does plyo exercises. But then I'm thinking about the engine, glutes. So I'll just go glute extensions right off the ground, where you put the barbell right on your hip and you're extending right off the ground for hip extension. So I'll go squats and I'll go barbell glute extensions.
Okay. Now for the sprint exercises, can you briefly explain how, I mean, obviously the sled push kind of, I would say for the athletes that don't know, like a sled push is when you push the sled and you have weights on it, it's heavy, but you're in a sprinting stance pushing it. So that works with the mechanics there. But how would a hang clean, well, that's because I know that, but how would a hang clean help with the sprinting mechanics or sprinting power?
So the hang clean, especially when it comes to acceleration, or just sprinting overall, because sprinting is, essentially hip flexion and extension happening simultaneously. But the hang clean is a forceful contraction of like hip extension. Okay, so that's something, if it's trained, it's going to aid with acceleration, simply put.
Okay, see that, and that's important. So like the thing you've been focusing on, when I've noticed with these two, so with the squats and you said the glute bridge, hip bridge, like your hips are seems like they're a very crucial thing when it comes to the athletic performance. And obviously in any sport, you have to have good hips mobility with that. So now
I can go like decades about like athletes and tight hips, especially athletes nowadays. Like nobody knows about, or nobody, not that nobody knows, no one cares about recovery, right? Because I always say
that was gonna be my next leeway. I was gonna say we're gonna get. I wanted to touch recovery. Go ahead.
Yeah, so no one cares about recovery. So with my company, and what I do with my training business as well, as I said before, I take a holistic approach. So I teach kids about mobility, I teach kids about balance, I teach kids about coordination, moving well, and I teach them how to lift weights and how to get strong, how to run fast, and the whole nine. So I try to give them a really holistic approach. In that, especially when it comes to recovery, I know this as a general overhead, that every kid that I'll come into, or a majority of kids that I'll come into, their hamstrings are going to suck. Their low backs are going to be terrible. They're going to be tight all over. But they're going to tell me that they have the ability to run like a 4.2, which, they may, they may, but 9 times out of 10, like, you gotta get flexible. You can't even get into a squat position, you can't even fully extend your hip. You can't even fully extend your leg.
Right.
You want to be able to do all these things, like big reference is that LeBron spends $1 million on his body. I tell kids, all you got to do is spend a lacrosse ball. All you got to do is spend money for a lacrosse ball. And you can get one from your high school. or your college. You can
So,
trigger point release your hips, right? Which I do for all of my kids. Every time they come in, we trigger point the hips, release the hips, the hip flexors, the hip extensors. We roll out the bottom of the feet. So I take care of them from the bottom of your feet to the top of their head, right? I show them the whole nine, how to take care of their whole body, how to stretch, how to foam roll, so they can learn and start to do that stuff themselves. And when they continue to do that stuff, how it aids with their performance, how they can start to squat deeper, how they can start to get into a lot of different positions, right? How they can move better just by being a little bit more mobile, a little bit more flexible, right? Have a little bit more access to range of motion, right? Now you get a little bit stronger, moving better. You can cut better, run better, jump better, right? Your performance goes up. Your body's more durable, right?
it's huge. So, all right. So here, let's do this. Give us one stretch, one recovery thing for the hips, and then one stretch you suggest. Is there a, is well? Let's ask this question. Is there a stretch you think that everyone should do once a day? So
Uh,
a stretch, or like a recovery thing for your hips, and then maybe a recovery exercise that you think everyone should do.
so I think everyone should go to YouTube. So there's a couple of things that people should write down right now. If there's anyone listening or anything of that nature, right? There's a couple things you guys should write down right now. Go on YouTube and type in, how do I stretch my lower body? And do a different video per day. Then type in, how do I stretch my upper body? And then type in a different video per day. The next two things to answer your questions, I want you to go on YouTube and type in, how to release my glute with a lacrosse ball. Second thing I want you to do is to type in, how to release my hip flexors with a lacrosse ball. The stretch, I'll say the pigeon stretch. I call it the money stretch. And you can also YouTube that as well.
Perfect. That's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear. Just free game for everybody. Because I wanted to. There's always some sort of gem to drop. I might post that. There's a clip earlier that we were talking about that I like, that I might post to IG. But definitely, like, there's a lot of good things here for people to learn from. I'm gonna wrap it up soon. All right. So I'm gonna go, rapid fire here. In terms of questions, we're sports in general, so nothing crazy. It's just chill stuff. Who's your favorite football team, and who's your favorite basketball team if you watch basketball?
Favorite basketball team is the Celtics.
Okay.
And I never had. I don't have a favorite football team.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not big in that.
No, I love football.
Huh?
I love football, but I don't.
You don't have a team. That's like me. I mean, I'm a Lakers fan, but like, I just love good basketball. I love watching a good game. I wouldn't really, change anything. All right. How about this? Here's another good question. Um, if you had your top 3 professional athletes to work out, who would they be? Any sport,
My top 3. Oof. I got to think about that one real quick.
Just like somebody you would look at and
Julio
be like,
Jones will be one.
who?
Julio Jones,
Julio Jones.
definitely. LeBron James.
LeBron James. His hips need a lot.
Huh?
I said his hips are crazy. I feel like
Yeah.
he's mad tight, but like you said, he spends millions of dollars on his body. So,
Yeah.
um, and then one last one. Who else?
I would say Von Miller because Von my favorite football player.
Is Von Miller? No, I'm thinking what's his name from the
He's
Steelers?
on the,
Huh?
he's on the Broncos.
Yeah,
He's on the
yeah, yeah.
Broncos.
I'm thinking who's the NFL player that was doing crazy heavy lifts? James Harrison, right? Or
But yeah.
yeah, he was doing wild lifts, like crazy weight.
Crazy.
Um, okay, how about two more questions. Um, what do you where what do you suggest for an athlete? Where can they get information about how to eat if they don't have access to somebody like you or a nutrition? I mean, hopefully people will hit you up, or where would they get access on how to eat? Besides, like, is there a source that you particularly um trust, or do you just Google and figure it out?
I mean, I don't have like a specific source in regards to nutrition. I read a lot of articles. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I would say if anyone wants to learn, like for me, I can read and I can listen to things, but like a lot of people listen to stuff. So I would say get into podcasts, right? Get into podcasts. It's something like everyone has the earphone in nowadays. So, that's another way you can start learning as well. Just listen to people talk all day, right? And you can learn like that. But in regards to nutrition, I don't have like any specifics. There's a bunch of ways you can go about it, but I'll also say this: everyone subconsciously knows how to eat right. Like everyone knows that. Like everyone knows that fast food is bad, right? Everyone knows that like you can't overeat, and everyone knows what to eat, right? They may not know what order or things of that nature, but everyone knows generally, subconsciously, like how to eat healthy, if that makes sense. I firmly believe that. You just make the choice not to eat healthy.
Gotcha.
If that makes
Good. Oh no, I was saying. Well, what I was gonna say was just like you said. It's just that self accountability.
yeah.
Like you got to be disciplined, and that's the hardest part. It's really hard, especially when
Yeah. So,
people are traveling and like, it's really hard to like find a healthy spot where you can get quick food.
yeah.
It's
I
tough.
mean, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, but if you can keep it relative, like like you eat grilled foods, baked foods, boiled, right? Rice, pasta, vegetables. You know what I mean? Like everyone knows, like it's really that basic. You know what I mean? Like it's literally that basic. And fruits. You know what I mean? Like a trace of protein, rice, pasta, vegetables, and fruits. Like it's really that simple. You know what I mean? Like, and you can split that in any variation ways, and we all know that.
All right, last question before I sign off. We sign off. What's your favorite go-to meal?
Oh, my favorite go-to meal is some Jamaican food. It don't matter what type of Jamaican food, just some Jamaican food.
Rice and peas, oxtail. What are we talking about?
No matter what type of Jamaican food, you just put some Jamaican food in front of me, and it's gonna get ate.
But all right, bro, we're gonna close up shop here. Appreciate having you on the podcast, man. I hope people listen, and then obviously I'm posting this on YouTube as well, so they can obviously watch. And obviously I'll tag you when I post these things. And guys, if you're listening, please, just learn from our the podcast, learn, take notes, and like, subscribe would be greatly appreciated. There's a lot of things we're trying to do. I would love to be able to connect you with my guy down here, and kind of like he can learn from you guys, can learn from each other, just chop it up. I'm trying to build up my business, my network, and obviously you are trying to do the same. And we just want to help people wherever we can. So if you guys are in the Connecticut, Massachusetts area, hit up Turbo for your
Yep.
conditioning needs. He already gave you the IG. Tell him again.
Yeah, so if you're in the New England area overall, you can hit me up on Instagram at Turbo Spaulding, TurboSpaulding, Turbo Spaulding.
Make sure you guys go follow. Go ahead. Sorry.
I said, I appreciate you again, my man. This was a really fun thing to be on this podcast here and to just speak about my story and just to give back a little bit. So I appreciate you again, man. You got a really dope platform. Keep doing your thing, bro. And then
We'll link,
go for
and we're gonna link. We're gonna link because I want to learn. I said the more I can learn, the more I can help myself, help my players, my my environment. Just like I want to be able to enrich everybody, and help everybody succeed and grow together. So keep grinding, everybody. Stay safe. You know what it is. No days off.